Carter here from Carter Curricula, where I'm on a mission to savor our shared humanity by reading poetry, especially poetry written by dead American poets. Well, we're not in a poem tonight, but we are taking a look at a close reading of a particular text. And this text answers the question, what mindset can you have in order to deepen your understanding of poetry? What mindset, what way should you approach the poetic text um, prior to even getting to the text? What should you have as sort of a mindset or a frame of mental reference? And I think here in this passage we have a clue to unlock that problem. The problem that many of us face is that we think that there's a certain amount of skill that you must have in order to read poetry, and to some respect, that's true. But as long as you're able to read at all, like if you're able to read story, you're able to read poetry. So if you're able to read at all, then you should be able to read poetry, especially if you have a particular shift in your mindset, your state of mind, right? And so here I think this shift in the state of mind, written by Mortimer Adler and Charles Van Doren, I think this gives us clue as to how we might be able to solve that challenge of not being able to read poetry at a level where we can get deep meaning and we can experience poem and experience the humanity that's underneath all of it. And so we have this text, and I'll read it, and then we'll make some sense of it. We must act in such a way when reading a story, poem in this instance, that we let it act on us. We must allow it to move us. We must let it do whatever work it wants to do on us. We must somehow make ourselves open to it. We must act. We see this word or this phrase we must take place on four different occurrences. You see it there on one, you see it here on two, you see it here on three, you see it here on four. Most of these are some variation of the same thing being said, but it's said differently just enough to give enough of a nuance to really drive home um, how we might be able to have a mindset, just our mindset to read poetry in such a way where it makes an impact on our lives. You see right here that this is an act, right? This is an act, like to have this mind shift, to have this approach to a text, you must act, right? So you must do something. It is a mental doing, not necessarily a physical doing that is taking place here. It's all mental. And the act, and maybe we might even call it emotional. The act, we must act in such a way when reading a story or a poem that we let it act on us. We let the poem do its work on us. Poets are doing something with poems, right? They're structuring the poem. They're giving the poem um, a rhyme or rhythm. They're giving the poem ease and convenience for reading. In some instance, they're giving the poem, making the poem tough for the reader to understand. Nonetheless, the poet is doing something with the poem, and you must allow that to take place. They might even be telling a story through it. You must allow that thing that's going on in the poem to act on you, the diction, the mood, the tone. Allow that to act on you, right? We must, number two, allow it to move us. And with this idea of being moved by a story or poem is that it's taking you away. It's making you, it's sort of taking you to a different destination, allowing you to be a tourist in a new city, right? Allowing you, because when you're a tourist in a new city, you can't help but to experience, at least in part, what's being experienced by those who are in that culture, in that city. Right? We must, number three, let it do. Right? So allowing and letting it, same difference. Whatever work. So there's a work that the poem is doing on you as well as a work that you are doing on the poem. You are reading the poem, you're making observations of the poem, you are analyzing the poem, You are synthesizing elements of the poem. You are trying to live out the poem, I would hope, apply the poem. So whatever work that that poem is doing on you, you allow that as you attempt to do a work. We must act, right? So the acting is a shifting of mindset, right? And so this is what we do when we have a mindset ready for being shaped by a poem. We must somehow, right? This idea of somehow is really, and this is number four. This idea of somehow is really like it's like, oh man, whatever way that you can do it, by whatever means that you could take care of that, take care of that. I'm looking around for my dictionary, and yep, I got it. Somehow, man, that's a pretty strong word there. Like that word is um is is something else right there. And so what it says here in this dictionary, somehow in a way not specified, understood, or known. It's not a way, they're not going to specify how you do it, how you work your way into this kind of mindset. It's not specified. It's for you to figure out. But it's for you to figure out to make yourself open to experiencing that poem as that poem is requesting to be experienced, as that poem is working on you to be experienced. Mindset shift, mindset shift, an allowance, an openness, almost a meditative state where you're just open to wherever the poem carries you. You hop into the river of the current, and the river of the current or the current in the river takes you somewhere. The current of the river um, takes you to the destination the river wants you to go in a similar way. You do that with a poem, or even in a similar way as you are a tourist in a new city, the poem wants to take shape on you as you move into the city. And you got to move into that new city. You have to do your part in getting into that city. But once you're there, man, you're not going to change people who are in that city. They are who they are. You are going to do nothing to change them. You are a newcomer. You abide by their way, right? And so that's almost the impression that one gets from this idea. You are a tourist, or you're a person who is just adrift in the current of the poem. And so, man, that's powerful. That's a mindset shift that I think will help um, gain depth, gain some meaning, and gain some appreciation in reading poetry, in analyzing poetry, and in synthesizing poetry, and last but not least, in applying poetry which you read. Well, that's all I got for this one. I got another one that I want to talk to you about in terms of a passage from that same book. It's a powerful passage, so I'll see you in the next one.